the Vatican's hidden secrets, uncovering the erasure of true knowledge. Let us begin with a challenging notion. What if the very teachings of Jesus, the foundational truths handed down through generations, have been carefully curated, altered, or even erased? Imagine, for a moment, that the narrative you have known, woven into the fabric of your community, your upbringing, and your understanding of faith, has been shaped not by pure devotion to truth, but by the machinations of power. The weight of such a realization stirs a sense of disillusionment, raising profound questions about the nature of authority, knowledge, and belief. This inquiry is not driven by a desire to provoke mere controversy. It is a philosophical invitation to question what remains concealed beneath the surface of institutionalized religion. What truths have been sacrificed in the name of political stability or hierarchical control? This journey is one of uncovering, of peeling away the layers of history, to confront the possibility that the essence of Jesus' message, his teachings, his life, his purpose, has been altered by those who sought to wield power in his name. To embark on such an investigation is to question the very structures that define our understanding of spiritual truth. What we aim to explore is not a simple critique, but a deeper philosophical examination of how religious narratives are shaped, who controls them, and why certain truths are obscured while others are emphasized. In this, we seek to understand the forces at play in the historical transmission of Jesus' teachings and, ultimately, how this impacts the individual's pursuit of spiritual authenticity and empowerment. 1. How politics shaped Christianity at the Council of Nicaea. Imagine this. It is the year 325 AD, a time when the Roman Empire, vast in its expanse and teetering on the brink of disintegration, faces internal dissonance. Emperor Constantine, presiding over this vast dominion, confronts an empire riddled with factionalism and religious strife. Christianity, though ascending in influence, is fractured into numerous sects, each offering diverging interpretations of the teachings of Jesus. There exists no uniform understanding of the divinity of Christ, the nature of the Trinity, or the true path to salvation. Amidst these tremors, Constantine perceives an opportunity, one that might stabilize his faltering empire. Constantine, a figure not only of political acumen, but one deeply conscious of the power of belief, recognizes that a united faith might serve as the cornerstone for consolidating his rule. To govern a population as diverse as the empire itself, he requires unity, a doctrinal cohesion that could bind his subjects together under a single religious vision. But the path to this unity necessitates the resolution of deep theological divergences. Thus, the First Council of Nicaea was convened not merely as a spiritual endeavor, but as a political calculus that would forever alter the course of Christian thought. Often viewed through the lens of religious purity, the Council of Nicaea is far more intricate in its motives. Constantine's concern was not solely with doctrinal precision, but with the stability of his realm. The unity of Christianity, as he envisioned, would function as a political instrument, a means to forge cohesion amidst diversity. The Council thus emerged not just as a forum for theological inquiry, but as a battleground where power, influence, and religious authority were fiercely contested. Visualize the gathering, bishops and theologians from across the empire, each carrying within them a vision of Christianity that was colored by personal, regional and political interests. The decisions they were poised to make would ripple across time, influencing both the spiritual and the material world. These men, though cloaked in the garb of faith, were power brokers, and the theological debates they engaged in were inseparable from the politics of empire. Out of this council emerged the Nicene Creed, a statement of faith that sought to solidify the core tenets of Christian belief. But its formation was not merely a matter of spiritual discernment. It was a product of negotiation, compromise, and exclusion. Certain doctrines were upheld, while others were cast aside, deemed heretical. Some texts, representing alternative visions of Christianity, were relegated to obscurity, while others were enshrined as sacred scripture. The guiding hand behind these choices was often political, driven by Constantine's desire to align Christianity with the needs of his empire. Among the most profound decisions of the council was the selection of the texts that would comprise the Christian Bible. In the early Christian communities, a myriad of writings circulated, texts offering diverse perspectives on the life and teachings of Jesus. Some depicted Christ as wholly divine, while others emphasized his humanity. The Gospel of Thomas, for instance, presented a mystical and introspective path, while the Gospel of John stressed the divinity of Christ and the necessity of belief. The process of canonization, however, was not determined solely by theological merit, but by the potential for control. Texts that lent themselves to a hierarchical church structure, facilitating the centralization of authority, were favored. Those writings that emphasized personal spiritual enlightenment, independent of ecclesiastical mediation, were suppressed. This suppression was no accident. It was a deliberate strategy to preserve the institutional power of the Church. If individuals could access the divine directly, the intermediary role of the clergy, and the hierarchical structure that upheld the Church's power, would be undermined. Consequently, these alternative perspectives, along with the belief systems they espoused, were excluded, forgotten, or destroyed. A significant casualty of this theological exclusion was the belief in reincarnation. Early Christians, along with adherents of other spiritual traditions, held to the idea that the soul's journey spanned multiple lifetimes, returning to earth in successive incarnations to learn and grow. This notion was seen not only in Christianity, but in certain sects of Judaism and in the Eastern philosophies of Hinduism and Buddhism. Reincarnation presented a view of spiritual progress that was continuous, a soul evolving toward enlightenment over time. Yet, at the Council of Nicaea, this belief was denounced and excluded from Christian doctrine. Why? Because reincarnation, with its promise of multiple lifetimes, diminished the urgency of salvation within a single lifetime, and thus the Church's role as gatekeeper to salvation. The Church's authority rested on its claim to control the sacraments and the promise of eternal life, a promise that required strict adherence to its teachings. The concept of reincarnation, by offering spiritual growth across many lifetimes, posed a threat to this system. It allowed for a more personal and expansive view of the soul's journey, one less reliant on institutional mediation. The exclusion of reincarnation was not a mere theological quibble. It was a strategic decision that enhanced the Church's control over its followers. If the soul had but one chance for salvation, and the Church alone could provide the means to secure it, the Church's power was effectively solidified. This narrative, however, raises profound questions. What if reincarnation is, in fact, real? What if the Church's decisions were driven more by political expedience than by spiritual truth? These are questions that unsettle our understanding of religious authority and beckon us to reconsider the forces that have shaped Christian belief. Rumors have long persisted that the Vatican, that vast repository of ecclesiastical knowledge, holds within its archives hidden truths that, if revealed, would challenge the very foundations of Christianity. These archives, heavily guarded and accessible only to a select few, are said to contain ancient texts that present alternative visions of Jesus' teachings. Some suggest that the Vatican has deliberately concealed these writings, suppressing knowledge that could empower individuals to seek divine connection independent of the Church. Among these whispered secrets is the Gospel of Mary, a text that portrays Mary Magdalene not as a marginal figure, but as one of profound spiritual significance, perhaps even the closest confidant of Jesus. If such teachings were widely known, they could upend the patriarchal structure of the Church, which has long excluded women from leadership roles. More importantly, these teachings might inspire believers to seek the divine within themselves, rather than through institutional authority. Throughout history, religious institutions have understood the power of narrative. The stories we embrace about the divine shape our understanding of life, death, and our place in the cosmos. The First Council of Nicaea, in its exclusion of certain texts and ideas, was an act of narrative construction. By shaping the Christian story in a way that served the interests of the Church and Empire, the Council left an indelible mark on history. But how much of what we have inherited as Christian truth is the product of political necessity? What spiritual insights have been lost to time, hidden in archives, or suppressed by institutions? These questions invite us to look beyond established narratives, to seek out the spiritual wisdom that may yet lie dormant, waiting to be rediscovered by those willing to challenge. The boundaries of religious orthodoxy. 2. Unveiling the soul journey, past lives, and spiritual awakening. In the vast terrain of contemporary spiritual inquiry, the practice of past life regression emerges as a profound and transformative method, offering an intimate exploration of the soul's journey through time. Central to this approach is the pioneering work of Dolores Cannon, whose legacy in hypnosis and past life regression has opened pathways to the deep subconscious, where memories of previous incarnations reside. Through these explorations, individuals are invited to witness the echoes of their former lives, discovering intricate patterns that transcend the boundaries of a single lifetime. Cannon's work, which spanned decades, poses a compelling challenge to traditional religious frameworks, suggesting that human existence is not confined to a singular life, but is instead part of a continuous, expansive cycle of rebirth and growth. Her regression sessions revealed rich narratives of past lives, uncovering connections that traverse different cultures, times, and even worlds, thus shedding light on the soul's evolution. At the heart of past life regression lies the practice of hypnosis, entering what is known as the theta state, a level of consciousness just before sleep, allows the rational mind to recede, and the subconscious, home to these latent memories, rises to the surface. Under the guidance of a skilled practitioner, individuals begin to recount past life experiences with remarkable clarity and vividness. They might describe landscapes and people unknown to them in this life, but familiar in the deep recesses of their soul. Emotions and connections from previous lifetimes are reawakened, offering insights into the karma, lessons, and soul agreements that have shaped their current existence. The compelling aspect of these regressions is their immediacy. Past life memories often carry a weight and vividness that transcend ordinary recollections. Individuals frequently report sensations so detailed they can feel the warmth of long-forgotten suns or hear the echoes of voices from distant epochs. These experiences are not mere intellectual exercises, but vivid encounters with the continuity of their soul's journey. Canon's contributions to this field extend beyond the mere mechanics of regression. Her groundbreaking book, Jesus and the Essenes, draws from these sessions, presenting alternative spiritual histories that challenge the dominant religious narratives of the West. Her findings suggest that Jesus, often portrayed in traditional Christian doctrine as the sole mediator of salvation, may have been part of a broader spiritual tradition, one that emphasized inner divinity, personal empowerment, and the fundamental unity of all souls. Through the memories of her clients, Canon uncovered the practices of the Essenes, a spiritual community known for its esoteric teachings during the time of Christ. The Essenes emphasized meditation, healing, and living in harmony with both nature and the divine. This vision of early Christianity offers a mystic and individualistic alternative to the institutionalized doctrines that have long dominated religious thought. Such revelations invite a deep reconsideration of how we perceive religious authority and the nature of spiritual truth. If the soul's journey extends across lifetimes, as Canon's work suggests, then the notion of a single life culminating in eternal salvation or damnation begins to dissolve. The belief in reincarnation challenges the power structures of religious institutions, which often present themselves as the sole gatekeepers of spiritual salvation. With multiple lifetimes to learn and grow, the urgency imposed by doctrines of eternal judgment loses its grip, and the individual's spiritual autonomy is reaffirmed. The implications of this shift are profound. If reincarnation is a fundamental aspect of our existence, the traditional religious narrative that demands strict adherence to specific doctrines loses its potency. No longer bound by a single path to salvation, individuals are free to explore a broader range of spiritual experiences and insights, with less reliance on institutional authority. Canon's work delves even further, suggesting that within the subconscious mind lies not only the key to past lives, but also a direct connection to the higher self. This aspect of the soul, intimately connected to the divine, holds vast stores of wisdom that can guide us through our current life. Through her quantum healing hypnosis technique, QHHT, Canon facilitated access to this higher self, helping her clients to uncover profound insights about their purpose, relationships, and spiritual mission on Earth. Beyond the realm of past life regression, Canon's teachings intersect with the broader concept of manifestation, a practice rooted in personal empowerment. Manifestation operates on the principle that our thoughts and intentions shape our reality. It suggests that by aligning our inner beliefs with our desires, we can consciously create the outcomes we seek. This idea challenges traditional religious teachings that often stress submission to external authority or divine will. Instead, manifestation places the power of creation squarely in the hands of the individual. Ancient spiritual traditions, including Hinduism, Buddhism, and early Christian mysticism, have long acknowledged the creative power of thought. The law of attraction, which holds that like attracts like, suggests that the energy we project into the universe, whether positive or negative, returns to us in kind. Religious institutions, however, have frequently suppressed such teachings, as they challenge the hierarchical structures that underpin their authority. if individuals realize their own capacity to shape their destiny. The need for institutional mediation is greatly diminished. Religious institutions, from the Council of Nicaea to the present day, have exerted tremendous influence over spiritual belief systems. By controlling the narrative of salvation, these institutions have maintained power, often through the accumulation of material wealth, as seen in the vast holdings of the Catholic Church. The Vatican, with its immense archives of spiritual knowledge, has long held sway over the direction of Christian thought, but its wealth and secrecy raise critical questions about the true motivations behind religious control. The hidden knowledge that may reside within the Vatican's archives could challenge centuries of doctrine and open the door to a more mystical, individualistic spirituality. By reclaiming spiritual power from religious institutions, individuals are increasingly exploring alternative paths like past life regression and manifestation, reconnecting with their inner divinity and the eternal journey of the soul. In this transformative era, Dolores Cannon's work stands as a beacon, inviting us to look beyond the confines of traditional religious narratives and to explore the vast, untapped potential of our spiritual nature. Her teachings offer not just a glimpse into past lives, but a roadmap for reclaiming personal spiritual power and embracing the soul's eternal journey. This shift represents a profound awakening, one that challenges centuries-old structures of power and invites us to see ourselves as co-creators of our reality, traveling across lifetimes in search of truth, growth, and enlightenment. 3. The rise of personal spirituality, breaking free from traditional religious structures. As we advance into the complexities of the 21st century, a profound transformation is unfolding in the domain of spirituality. Individuals are increasingly distancing themselves from the traditional religious frameworks, preferring instead to engage in personal practices like meditation, yoga, manifestation, and past life regression. These pathways offer a more intimate and direct relationship with the divine, one that transcends the need for institutional mediators. The relevance of conventional religious institutions built upon hierarchical structures and rigid doctrines is being called into question by a growing populace of spiritually inclined individuals. For centuries, religious institutions, whether churches, mosques, or temples, held the role of gatekeepers to spiritual understanding. They provided frameworks for grappling with life's most profound questions, the nature of existence, morality, and the divine. But as society has evolved, so too have people's expectations of spiritual engagement. In an age where empowerment and personal freedom are increasingly valued, the constrictive nature of dogmatic teachings feels discordant to many seekers. The result is a turning away from external religious authority and an inward exploration of spiritual truths. This shift reflects not so much a rejection of faith, but rather a reimagining of how faith is experienced and understood. Modern individuals crave a spirituality that nurtures personal empowerment, one that does not demand blind acceptance, but encourages self-exploration and the discovery of inner truth. They are increasingly reluctant to be confined by the narratives of established religion, which often present one fixed version of divine reality, leaving little room for personal interpretation or growth. Religious institutions now face an existential challenge. How can they evolve to accommodate the modern spiritual seeker without diluting their core teachings? This question opens the door to broader philosophical considerations about the nature of religious evolution itself. Can the essence of a tradition remain intact while its structures adapt to a rapidly changing world? Historically, These institutions have been instrumental in shaping moral and communal life, offering solace, guidance, and social cohesion. They have taught ethical living, provided a sense of belonging, and fostered collective identity. Yet, as secularism grows, as scientific understanding expands, and as individual rights come to the fore, the authority of religious institutions is no longer seen as the only source of spiritual wisdom. What is most striking about the modern spiritual landscape is the heightened focus on personal empowerment. Practices like mindfulness, meditation, and manifestation emphasize the individual's ability to shape their spiritual journey and reality itself. These practices are rooted in the belief that divine wisdom and transformative power reside within the self, not in external institutions. It is a philosophy that calls into question the long-standing notion of religious hierarchy and mediation. For instance, past life regression allows individuals to explore the depths of their consciousness, unlocking memories and experiences from previous incarnations. This form of spiritual exploration bypasses the traditional religious role as mediator, allowing people to directly encounter the layers of their soul's journey. Similarly, manifestation teaches that through belief and intention, individuals have the power to shape their own reality. It challenges the traditional religious view that human beings are passive subjects in a world controlled by divine forces. This trend towards personal empowerment reflects a desire for spirituality to be more inclusive, flexible, and accessible. The fixed structures of institutional religion no longer meet the needs of many who seek a direct and personal relationship with the divine. This spiritual awakening signals a move away from the rigid doctrines of the past towards practices that resonate with individual experience. As more individuals turn to alternative spiritual practices, religious institutions are left at a crossroads. Many are struggling to stay relevant, as their authority is undermined by a world that places greater value on personal exploration and autonomy. Younger generations, in particular, are distancing themselves from the exclusive truth claims of organized religion. Instead, they adopt a more eclectic approach, drawing on philosophies from a range of traditions, Eastern, New Age, and indigenous wisdoms, all of which offer insights into personal empowerment and the soul's connection to the universe. Yet, some within religious communities recognize the necessity of change. A number of religious leaders are beginning to embrace more progressive and inclusive forms of spiritual practice. They are exploring ways to integrate ancient traditions with modern needs. However, these efforts often encounter resistance from more conservative factions within their institutions, creating tension between the preservation of tradition and the demand for evolution. One path forward for these institutions might be the embrace of a more open-ended and inclusive spirituality. Rather than enforcing rigid adherence to doctrine, they could foster an environment that encourages personal exploration and dialogue. Recognizing that spiritual growth is a uniquely individual process, they could reinvigorate their contemplative practices, such as prayer and meditation, by harmonizing them with modern mindfulness techniques, thus offering meaningful experiences that resonate with contemporary seekers. Religious institutions could also engage more deeply with the social issues that concern many modern spiritual seekers, such as social justice, environmental sustainability, and ethical living. By aligning their teachings with these pressing concerns, they might reclaim their relevance in a world that demands not only spiritual guidance, but also active participation in creating a just and compassionate society. At the core of this transformation lies the philosophical act of questioning established narratives. Throughout history, religious institutions have shaped the story of spirituality to reinforce their power structures. By defining the boundaries of sacred belief, They positioned themselves as the arbiters of divine truth. But the modern seeker, valuing autonomy and personal discovery, is increasingly unwilling to accept such narratives without critical examination. The rise of personal empowerment in spirituality is not merely a shift in practice. It is a philosophical call to question, explore, and rethink inherited beliefs. Ultimately, the spiritual journey is a deeply personal quest. It is not about passively following the dictates of institutions, but about forging one's own path. By embracing the process of questioning, individuals liberate themselves from limiting beliefs and embark on a transformative journey of self-discovery. This journey is not without challenges. It requires the courage to confront long-held beliefs and the openness to explore unfamiliar ideas. But it is a journey that leads to profound personal growth. As people continue to reclaim their spiritual power and seek out their own truths, they shape the future of spirituality itself, a future that is inclusive, dynamic, and deeply connected to the essence of the divine.